Welcome to San Diego TV. Today our guest is Marshall Stanek with the San Diego Dementia Consortium. Thank you so much for being with us today. We're looking forward to learning more about the consortium.
I appreciate the invitation to be able to come here today because it's a chance to really talk about what our group is doing and what's unique about how we try to fit in. But the whole goal is professionals that are volunteering to work together to improve the lives of those living with the dementia. And so we'll talk more about that.
As the audience can see, we have set up a table filled with information so we can have this wide-ranging, open discussion, take it wherever you want it to go. Because we really, how many people, not that many people have actually heard of the Dementia Consortium, obviously, so we want to get the word out there. So tell us a little bit about accomplishments and where the direction.
Well, again, the focus is improving the lives of those living with dementia, and we've seen that as both professionals learning more about what the condition is and how to deal with it, as well as the families themselves. So we offer aspects in both. So from a professional standpoint, an example is last year we did a workshop of capacity versus resident rights. So when somebody has dementia, there's a real cloudy issue as far as the rights that that person still has as it's received by the court or recognized by the court, and those that are needed to maintain safety and well-being. So we had a panel of experts, lawyers, RCFE administrators, gerontologists, all working together to wrestle with that topic. So we like to deal with the topics that are a little more challenging, but we also offer CE credits because it really helps those professionals gain not only the professional knowledge of being able to deal with that, but then they can take that into their respective practices. So the other side of it is we do a brain health forum, which is for the public. And in those, we try to get speakers that are, again, addressing topics that aren't necessarily mainstream. A focus is how do we avoid, or what are the treatments or methods which aren't using medications to help people with dementia? You know, what is the true evidence that shows what diet, nutrition, the exercise, cognitive training that can improve people's conditions, and how can the families living with them better integrate that into their lives? So both the public and the professional aspects is what we focus on. So those are two.
That's unique because most nonprofits focus on one or the other, so it's unique
Correct.
to be able to focus on both. Well, this is very near and dear to my heart. I recently lost my mom to vascular dementia after a 12-year battle. So dementia as a disease process has many shapes and sizes and is very different for every single individual. And of course, medication is the first direction everybody wants to go because it silences the person. But what I see that you have something coming up about medication and dementia. So
correct.
What is the general philosophy or theory that's being accepted today from that perspective?
There's not one answer that solves all the issues.
Exactly.
And so this year's topic for professionals is drugs or no drugs, dealing with psychotropics, which are the ones that are most touchy and sensitive when it comes to dementia. It's not that you never should use them or should always use them, it's how and when and what are the ethics behind that and what are the conditions that would discern that that is actually for the best interest of the individual or the situation. If they're living at home, does that change from when they're living in a professional facility or community where they've got people observing and trained to deal with that? So all of that is going to be addressed. And this time we're including, again, lawyers and RCFE, community leadership, and nurses and social workers all getting continuing education credits for attending this. So it's going to be a very wrestling subject. There are no solid answers, but it's understanding how to work through the gray area that we're going to be addressing. So we're real excited about that.
So from a lawyer perspective, they're advising the trustee of mom or dad to what to do, or in terms of drugs or no drugs? I'm trying to...
What they'll do is address the legal statutes relating to medication usage. So when it comes to psychotropics, what are the statutes? Because what we learned in the incapacity workshop was there are certain things where there's a law and it's in the client's best interest to break the law. Because if it's the best interest in the health and well-being of the individual, then the community who's caring for them, the family member, may take some action which the law could show as being restrictive, but if that's in the best interest, but how do you document that? How do you make sure that if you were to stand in front of a judge, you could show that what you did was for the best interest of that individual. And I'm sure that will be similar in this case. It's not about using it or not using it, it's what was it you were doing to maintain the best well-being for that person that was being cared for.
Just your backstory a little bit is interesting. So tell us how you got so immersed in an amazing cause.
Well, it's interesting because I have a similar situation. My dad, at about 79, fell, broke 5 ribs, and wasn't expected to live. And he was caring for my mom, who was in a frail condition. So I had to go over to Arizona and start to figure it all out. And I had no idea what was going on. We found out that he was developing Parkinson's. And so that gave me a sense of what is this dementia? What is this aging journey? What is it that needs to happen, and how do we plan for that? And to better recognize that the professionals in many cases really don't have all the answers. So that led me to, as I worked with a nonprofit, an adult day program, who actually, I'll just segue here a little bit. One of the things that we've also done as an accomplishment as the Dementia Consortium is that funds that have been raised have been granted to Glenner Adult Day Program, because I started 5 memory cafes, which they now are taking over and operating. So as the Dementia Consortium, we're able to, through Memory Guides, my nonprofit, support Glenner, which is another nonprofit, to be able to deliver service to the communities. And these are 90-minute sessions twice a month that people can actually come to, and it's a safe place to talk about what's going on if they're just even wondering or worried about dementia. So it's another way that the Dementia Consortium is actually delivering service into the community.
So you're providing grants to other nonprofits.
Correct. And another example to even for-profits is we're just starting a membership benefit now where for $300 once a month, we'll pick a card out of the hat for the members attending, and that member will then be granted $300 to provide service to somebody that otherwise they might not be able to serve. There's just certain people that they don't have the resources, and by taking them to the park or providing them some respite or doing something that improves their cognitive functionality that they wouldn't otherwise be able to do. It's another way where we can serve our members. The members can serve individual families or groups of people, and to bring that full
paying
service.
It forward.
Exactly. So these are ways, yes, $300 is not a lot, but if it serves one family or a few individuals in a certain way, it's a way for the Dementia Consortium to give back and continue to engage our members. So these are ways that we're delivering value back.
And what is the consortium looking for as an organization? How can we help you help others, the organization grow?
It's a good question, because over time the nature of the consortium has evolved. Right now the 2 biggest things is active members. We need professionals and even families who recognize there's a need for this. It fulfills a purpose in San Diego to improve the lives of those living with dementia, so active membership is needed. It's a volunteer organization. So you have professionals that have full-time jobs, and this is just something else that they're doing. And yet it is a way for their organization to now participate in a greater way. So membership helps us actually deliver on our mission. The second is donations, whether that's sponsorships at the different events, where there's a table or a booth of some kind, or just dollar donations that can be directed toward certain things. Donations help us then deliver on this. None of us get paid for being at this. It 100% goes to the families and people that we're serving.
Do you work in conjunction, you said you work in conjunction with the Glenner, do you work in conjunction with the Alzheimer's Association here in San Diego as well?
Not from a standpoint of actually delivering programs. Okay. So it's not something that we're opposed to. We've looked at Parkinson's, we've looked at Alzheimer's San Diego, Alzheimer's Association. Southern Caregiver Resource Center is an organization where we're doing, they're helping us deliver CE credits, the continuing education credits for social workers, but we're giving them access to be able to present what they do in helping families with caregiving and dementia and so on. So there's different ways that we'll partner with organizations to be able to, again, extend, as long as we're delivering our mission,
right.
We want to work with everybody. We're very collaborative in that sense. So it's
That's
a matter
good.
of where there's opportunities, we're happy to partner.
What about working with companies like Great Call that are providing services to keep families engaged with who they're taking care of or their loved one with dementia?
We're open to all partnering opportunities. Again, at this point, I've kind of shared the ones that we've begun to expand, and that's why I'm saying we're evolving, and why it's an exciting time, and why I'm glad I was able to come and share today, is to get the word out that we're now evolving, we're getting some new ideas, we're going to be starting some fundraising opportunities to help expand what we're able to deliver on. So now is the time to participate. This is the time to get involved.
And for the public, how can they get involved, or what programs do you have that are open to the public?
Well, there's a couple of ways that we're starting to do things in the community, and two of them are here on the table. At health fairs, like at the Vital Aging Summit, we had tables at each of those offering two different types of cognitive evaluations. One of them is called the SAGE, S-A-G-E, which is a self-assessment gerocognitive evaluation. And it's a university-developed program that's non-diagnostic but allows the family to take these home and take them where it's safe, comfortable, relaxed, so that they can have a sense of, is there anything I should be worried about? And we had over 172 people take these, and now we're following up with them to score those and have conversations with those just to identify, hey, maybe everything's fine, but is there a concern? How can we get on this earlier? As you probably know, and I know, the earlier you have a chance to get on this and get ahead of what the conditions might be, the better off you are. The other one is what's called the 88, and it is a dementia screening interview for the caregiver about a partner. So it's a chance for them to kind of ask these questions and go, you know, there are some changes that have occurred, which can then prompt them to go talk to a physician or a professional who has then to help guide them as to what to do if they see there's some concern. So it's identifying the concern and directing them to where they can go. So from a public perspective, we have individuals who have actually contributed sizable amounts of money to help with what we're doing, and are also helping guide us as to what our mission is and how ideas are that we can deliver to the public itself.
I mean, the makeup of the board and the people involved, it's a very impressive group of people. What specific, if you could reach out to network right now, what specific professionals are you looking for to fill the gaps?
More doctors would help us build the credibility from a medical perspective. We have doctors on in our board now, but that increases the overall reach into that professional side. We know that there's over 64,000 that have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, not even all dementia, just Alzheimer's. We know from statistics that that only represents half of who's diagnosed, so that means there's over 120,000. We also know statistically 2.1 caregivers are tied to each of those, and if you add then the other dementias and the caregivers with that, you're talking about 500,000 people in San Diego. Well, why is there a gap? So one of the other things that our group has been part of is the Alzheimer's Project, specifically the Clinical Roundtable Education Subcommittee, which developed guidelines to help physicians better understand how to assess and guide families if they're suspecting that there's some kind of diagnosis that they need to, be worried about. And so they've created a guideline, 64-page book. We've participated with that and are helping now to disseminate that. So again, if we can start with the professionals that get an earlier sense of what's going on and get them trained to get the families plugged in, that's huge. One other project that we've actually had as an accomplishment is a form that identifies the current condition of someone with cognitive decline, so that if they're in a residential community and they're taken to an emergency room, that information is presented, because a lot of times emergency room staff doesn't even know what to do. So this was another project that the Dementia Consortium took on and developed as a group of physicians and other professionals.
Well, we have a lot on the table here and a lot more to talk about. Is there anything we've left that you want to get out to the audience that we have now?
I would just say our website isn't fancy, but it has the information. So if they can type in sddementiaconsortium.org, it's the best place to keep connecting and seeing what we're doing. Our meetings are listed there. We have monthly public meetings so that they can come and listen to speakers. We have networking interactions on a monthly basis, and we do a board meeting once a quarter that is totally open to the public. So it's a very open organization. We encourage people to come and see what we're doing and participate where they can. It's also where they can learn about these different events. One of the flyers that we have identifies that we have a professional workshop on September 12th that's in Rancho Bernardo area. We have the Brain Health Forum, which will be in October, which is the public event, which is where we're going to have speakers dealing with clinical evidence on treatments for people with Alzheimer's. without medication that's actually improving their conditions. So it's these kinds of things that, again, are making it available in a way that they might not otherwise see. And then, again, our monthly meetings. But the website is the best single place where they can keep updated. They can ask questions. We're there to dialogue and evolve with what we see the need is.
And I'll just, my last word, get in. I mean, if I just go, if HR personnel would get on board with this, I would be forever grateful to them, because caregivers are usually working full-time jobs and taking care of maybe children and taking care of mom and dad. And you provide valuable insight into how to assist employees to be workers and caregivers. I mean, there's a lot of information that you could help provide to the public at large. So I applaud you for the great work you're doing. I know quite a few people on the board, and all amazing. And hopefully everybody reaches out to you, and you just grow and expand and flourish. So thank you, Marcia, for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Ron.
Great.
Patty, thank you.
And stay tuned for more Senior Stay or Go.